It's no secret that many people are getting sick and tired of the self improvement sphere, the self improvement space online. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about why that's the case, talking about my own life philosophy and why that's a thing that I like to pursue, and why do I talk about a lot of self improvement type of concepts on this show itself. That's kind of what I'm going to be breaking down today because it was an interesting thing, but I think it absolutely is true. Like, I've made some episodes in the past about it, but I haven't actually dedicated something specifically to this. Like, I've made episodes talking about how you can sometimes think too much and you can have too many inputs in your mind that ends up stopping you taking action, right? It stops you from taking action. And for me, I think the most important thing when you're trying to improve your life, you're trying to achieve something great in your life, you're trying to make a name for yourself in this world, it's by constantly growing and improving. And that is through taking action. I think that's how you do it. Instead of just spending time consuming content, spending time thinking about ideas and things, I think thinking is good, it's important. But if it stops you from taking action, you should probably move it to the side and focus on just taking action. And you'll learn from failures and mistakes because of action that's taken. Again, not good plan, a not sound plan will beat a perfectly flawless plan if the guy with the not sound plan, the not flawless plan, is going out there and just acting and going gung ho and just going fully deep into it with full conviction, versus the guy that kind of has spent all this time thinking up the perfect plan, and then he starts to act on it, but it's not really convincing actions towards it, right? But But this is why people don't like the self improvement space anymore on the internet. It's the real reason to me, that's what I think, is it's just so saturated. Like, even on my show, like, I'm guilty of it. I talk about these things all too much, right? But for me in my show, like, a big goal of this show is to just bring value to you. So even if I'm talking about something that has nothing to do with self improvement, I try to give you some sort of a lesson in there as well, or there's some sort of an overarching message. That's me because I want to just provide value, and I think the more value I provide, the more you can appreciate the content that I make, and that's how I go about it. So a lot of it becomes self improvement type of content, right? So I'm kind of guilty of it as well, but it is such a saturated market. It's pretty much like what everyone's talking about is how to improve in a certain thing. Whether it's like, the manosphere, like how to improve as a man, as a person, like just constant growth, like, or if it is more like specific sectors, like in fitness or in business or in just arts or in just other general skills, sales, that type of stuff. They're all kind of linked and related, and you find that most people that they specialize in something, like they're like a business guy, they end up bleeding into that, like, self-improvement, like on a general level. Like, you will see that, you see that happen. Like, a good example is like Alex Ramosi. Like, he's a business guy. Like, he's fitness and business, but then, like, he kind of combines it with psychology and he combines it with all this stuff, so then he just becomes like a self-help guru, right? That's how it is. Whereas he's like trying, his main focus is trying to help people improve at business. But it's just because that's kind of the nature of how things go on the internet. He becomes, I think he's a great voice. I think he has a lot of good stuff to say, and I agree with a lot of what he talks about. But like, that's just an example that I gave. Like, it's just he became that self improvement guy. Like, another good example is David Goggins, right? Like, he's just about hard work mentality from like a physical standpoint, putting yourself through those difficult challenges. But even still, like, his message, his teaching bleeds into like this genre of self improvement. Whereas that's not like it is what he's trying to go for, but his version of what it means to seek growth in your life is way different than kind of the generic version of self-help that you see all over the internet. But his stuff still kind of bleeds into that, even if it was unintentional, even if that's not really what he wanted it to do. But the point is, it's like there's so many people, like everyone that's online talks about how you can improve and how you can grow. So people are getting tired of it, and I think it makes sense for people to get sick and tired of this genre, this theme, because there's so much of it. That's all you see. Like, I find myself, like, when I'm just for fun, I don't scroll it off and I try to stay off of social media, but when I'm on YouTube, I just look at all this content. It feels like slop. It really does. But it is all like, it's like, most of it is like self-improvement type of content, but it's also because thumbnails and titles and clickbaity stuff, it does all just feel like content slop, and it feels like you're not actually improving by consuming this content. And more and more people are realizing that, and I think they're right. I think if you are watching this video and you're sick and tired of self improvement as like a thing on the internet, I think you have the right to feel that way. I think it makes sense because your direction in life is not going to be the same as the people that are saying these things online. You're going to have a completely different pathway for your life. You're going to have a completely different philosophy as to how you're going to live your life. So of course, sometimes it feels like you're consuming content, you're just watching stuff and you're not actually applying it to your life, and you're just kind of staying in the same place that you're on. You're in the stagnation, right? I can understand how a lot of people feel that way. And that's why my thing is, it's like, it's about taking action. It's about actually doing the thing. It has nothing to do with consuming content. I think consuming content is a means, not an end. It's a means to an end. Because if you're on the internet and you're consuming garbage, well, obviously you're not going to do anything, right? You're not doing anything with garbage content, right? If it's like content's flop, live streaming, video game content, that kind of stuff. Like, or even like just scrolling through AI slop, which so many people do as well. Like their brains are just getting fried. That's not going to help you at all. So improving the content you consume usually leads you down that path of that self-help, self-improvement genre. Then like you're putting better stuff into your brain, and I've talked about this many times before. You're putting better stuff into your brain. I think that's good. But that stuff in and of itself is not going to change your life. It is actually down to you and how you actually respond to it, how you actually take meaningful actions and make meaningful changes in your day-to-day life. That is how you actually facilitate a life of growth versus just consuming stuff. But a lot of people feel like it's just so saturated that it's like it feels like you're watching the same stuff all the time, and it's like it's not actually helping anyone anymore. And I think it's true. I think they're right. I think the people that have those criticisms are actually absolutely correct with the situation that's going on. But that doesn't mean that seeking a life of constant growth is useless. It doesn't mean that it is meaningless. It doesn't mean that it's not going to help you get anywhere. I think for me in my life, I agree with the perspective that self-improvement is so saturated. But I still dedicate my life to growth. I have made that choice that I want to go pursue extraordinary. I want to pursue the excellence. And I want to pursue a life of constant growth. I don't want to be stagnant. I've talked on this show a couple of times about stagnation, how it can be just such a trapping feeling in your life. No one wants to feel like they're in the exact same place. They want to feel like there is some progress, there's some progression with what they're doing in their life. And that in and of itself is self-improvement and growth. But I think as humans, we are meant to grow. We are meant to just continuing to find new things, new pursuits, new passions, things to help us learn many different lessons. You need to fail in order to succeed. You need to go through those setbacks to have those growth moments in order to succeed. So I think from a practical perspective, you should absolutely dedicate your life to constant growth, to self-improvement. At least for me in my life, that is what I'm actually honing deeper into self-improvement. A lot of people are distancing themselves from it. But I'm actually honing deeper into the self-improvement stuff. But what people maybe get it wrong is that it has nothing to do with the content you consume. Like, it has nothing to do with stuff that you're watching online. People are distancing themselves from the self-improvement sphere online because they think that that's going to help them get a clearer mind. But that's not the case. That's not true. It has nothing to do with what you consume. Like, just put that, it doesn't matter what you consume. What matters is what you do. It is how you take the action. Sometimes what you consume can affect action. And you are what you think about. And what you think about is downstream from what you consume. So knowing that fact, what you consume can help. But it's not like it's a means to an end. It's not the end in and of itself. It is not the way to a successful life. Like, I think everyone wants success. Like, if you're a human that lives on this earth, you want a level of success in some way. I don't think anyone is really content with the mediocre, but it's just that the way you fall into habits and patterns and behaviors, and very quickly you stop seeking a life of constant growth. Instead, you become content with the mediocre. You become content with, or you're even like sedated with the dissatisfaction, but it's like you're just used to it at that point, with the constant state of boredom and the dopamine hits and all that stuff, right? But no one actually really wants to be there. Like, no one actually, like, if you had the choice between you live a good, fruitful, fulfilling life where you actually go and pursue great things versus you just, like, you work an office job, 9 to 5, you sit on your couch, I think no one would actually choose that. Like, I feel like no one would actually just say, oh, I would rather that. Maybe some people will, and if you will, my bad, but I'm making a general assumption here, of course. And you know what they say about assumptions, right? But I'm thinking, like, most people, you want a level of success, right? So it is a big warning. Like, if you're distancing yourself from self-improvement content, what are you replacing it with? Are you replacing it with stuff that maybe is more fruitful? Or are you just distancing yourself from social media in general? Or are you just replacing it with slop? And the slop's gonna help, it's gonna hurt you even more than the self-improvement stuff. So anything you feel bad and negative about the self-improvement sphere, if you're replacing it with garbage, it's just gonna be worse for you. So you kind of have to like realize what pathway you're going on. I think a life of constant growth is something super good. It's super fulfilling, and that's what fulfills us as humans. I had an idea about this like in the past that I was trying to articulate, where it was about the idea of an improbable goal. The fact that a dream is improbable, that it is hard for you to achieve, that it is a million and one odds, something about that just drives us humans to go for that. It just drives us towards us. It pushes us towards it. And it makes us fulfilled. Even if you don't achieve it, at least you tried. And I think there's something to that that's bigger and like more spiritual that you can't really explain about it, but it's just the fact that you're going out and pursuing something big. What it does is that type of a journey is growth. It is you trying to get a higher level of self to grow to actually reach that thing, because it's so hard that you need all of yourself and then some. That's why faith, belief in God is a super important part of those types of journeys, in my opinion. And that's how I've lived my life, is through faith, is through God, because you need all of yourself to get to that goal and then some. And then some is the faith belief that you have God with you, that it is not just you on your journey. That I think is a beautiful part in and of itself. But that those types of things are what fulfills us. And all that is, it's like that's you finding growth, right? That is you finding growth and improvement, because you are always improving to try and get to that goal. If it's so improbable, you have to give all of yourself, right? If you're trying to be an athlete, you have to go through those mindless repetitions. Those things that are just kind of mundane and boring, because you're just, basketball, you're just shooting the shots, right? Soccer, you're just kicking the ball. You're shooting the shots, you're making passes, you're doing dribbles. Like, I've done more of that than you can imagine, right? It's just that mindless repetition, that doing it over and over again. But it's so that you grow. It's so that you become a better player or a better person in that thing you're trying to go and achieve. So to just say, oh, self-improvement's bad, let's abandon it, I think that's the wrong perspective. I think the perspective is that no matter what you consume online, it has nothing to do with how you're actually going to change your life. How you can change your life is through actually acting on certain principles and certain desires and certain dreams, certain things. That's what's going to help you. So a lot of people maybe have it wrong. I agree with the fact that self-improvement is so saturated and there is a lot of it online, and it just feels like the same crap over and over again. And I understand why people are bored of it. I understand why people are sick of it and people are trying to distance themselves from it. But you got to be careful, because I think a self-growth mindset in your life is so good. I think just for what you want to become in your life, it is so good. And anything you want to achieve that is fulfilling, that has meaning to it, it's hard to get to. And you need to grow to that level, to step up to that level to get there. So I think it's really priceless living a life of that. And that's why for me, in my life at least, I'm actually going deeper into it. Not into the content, but into a philosophy of life that I'm going to live by, that I'm constantly growing and improving. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But so you got to be careful. And that's kind of the point of this video, is talking about, like, yes, I understand. I get it. And I'd say that that's exactly the reason why self-improvement feels just so kind of boring now. It doesn't feel like it has any meaning anymore now, because of the fact that it's so saturated, that's what everyone is talking about. It feels like everything you watch online has some sort of a self-improvement message. For my podcast, for what I talk about, I just try and give value. Like, it's like, even if I'm talking about something that has nothing to do with self-improvement, I have many episodes where I've talked about just fun stuff and random stuff that has nothing to do with self-improvement. But I always try and have value. And I think for me, like, that's my philosophy, is like, if I give value, it's a way of me serving you through what I say, through the words I put into this microphone. And it is a way that I could help you find a new perspective in your life, make some change and improvement. But at the end of the day, like, it's the same thing as anything else. That it is always down to you. You can watch this episode and it just becomes mental masturbation. And self-improvement, it just becomes mental masturbation, right? It becomes you're just watching motivational videos, but you're not actually doing anything about it. Like, you're not actually taking life by the scruff of the neck and actually going and doing what you need to do with your life, right? If you've watched the last few episodes of the show, a lot of what I'm talking about today is kind of just piggybacking off of those same type of things. Like the whole you need to be convicted, but you have to have full conviction in the goals that you go and do. The whole, like, the whole what are you going to do about certain things in your life when things get difficult, what are you going to do about it, actually taking action. Like, it's such a common theme on the show because I think the more I think about these things, the more I see just how true it really is. The more I experience in my own life, the more I see just how true it really is. That it is all about action. It is all about what you do. It is all about having full confidence in your pursuit, in your goal. And if you distance yourself from self-improvement content on social media, you have to differentiate between the content and the lifestyle. The lifestyle should absolutely still be a self-improvement mindset. Otherwise, you're going to stagnate and you're going to just kind of stay put exactly where you are. You're never going to grow in your life. And you're going to feel that kind of just misery. You're going to feel like a little bit empty inside. Because again, humans are designed to grow. I truly believe that. Humans are designed to grow. We're designed to serve others. But the serving is a way of growing at the same time. And it's a beautiful kind of way all of this stuff kind of comes together. But the second you abandon that growth mindset in general, the second you accept that you're just going to stay put exactly where you are, then that's exactly, it's going to be that exact thing that, again, no one really wants it, where you blink and then 10 years goes by, 20 years goes by, and you've just wasted your life. No one really wants that. No one really wants to kind of live a life like that. And I truly believe that everyone has some sort of an ambition in their life. So you need to differentiate. If you're going to separate yourself from self-improvement content because you feel like it's so saturated, you feel like you're not really learning anything from it anymore, that's fine. That's fine. I understand why you feel that way. But that doesn't mean that you should separate yourself from a lifestyle of self-improvement. Your lifestyle should absolutely still be trying to grow every day in your life and learn new perspectives and use that to take action, to improve your life, to learn from setbacks and failures to make it to wherever you want to make it. So you should really be very careful that, yes, if you're going to distance yourself from the content, don't distance yourself from the lifestyle. But a lot of people, I feel like they're distancing themselves from both, and at the end of the day, that is just them accepting that they're going to be stagnant. They're going to just stay put exactly where they are. So seek a life of constant growth, because I really do believe that it's a good thing, that it will benefit you. You'll learn many great things, and I think you'll get the most joy and the most fruits out of this life. Because you're not going to get many fruits if you're just kind of letting your fears take over, going about things, right? Your feather in the wind of life. You are capable of taking life by the scruff of its neck, by actually taking control of what you do with your life. So don't let it kind of dissuade you, right? Don't let all of this stuff online dissuade you from your own pursuits, your own passions, your own goals. That's why I preach the staying off of social media just entirely, just completely distance yourself from it. I preach that because I think social media is a poison. I think it really does put ideas and inputs and things into your mind that don't help you towards the greater goal, which is you trying to achieve something good out of the life that you have, the short life, the limited time, the only chance that you have, the only life you got that you have. Because it's just poisoning your mind with thoughts that are maybe not fruitful. So that's why I preach that. You can do what you want with it, but if you're trying to distance yourself from self-improvement, don't let it bleed into the lifestyle. Let your lifestyle still be one seeking growth, because I think that's something beautiful. Let your lifestyle be something growing in faith as well, and I think that's also something beautiful. That's something that can help you grow stronger and stronger as well. And if you're getting fruits by growth in life, if you add faith to the mix, your fruits will just grow in an even more exponential way, in an even more beautiful way. But don't let all this stuff dissuade you from actually going and achieving things you want to achieve, because growth is good. Improvement is good. But even if you see something that someone said online about, like, the hardness of life, I mean, I talked about that yesterday. So apologies for that if I kind of came at it with a negative perspective yesterday. That was just kind of what I was thinking about, so I was talking about it. But if you see something in the self-help space that makes, like, it's that exact type of thing that dissuades you from it, that makes you hate it because it's something that's just not it's just something that's not philosophy that you agree with, but like everyone seems to be talking about it and doing it. Like, that's okay. You don't have to conform to that because you feel like the pressure of you having to grow in your life, meaning that you have to do it. No. Life is different for everyone. We have different philosophies we live our lives by, each and every one of us as individuals, and that's okay. That's absolutely fine. So you don't have to have inputs in your mind that's constantly dissuading you. That's fine. But don't let it bleed into your lifestyle. Let your lifestyle be that of growth. It will look different from you. It'll look different for you than it will for another person, than it will for the gurus that are online talking about the self-improvement, that it will even look from me, how I decide to go about my life. It'll look very different, and just understand that that is absolutely a-okay. Don't worry about it. But you absolutely cannot distance yourself from that self-improvement lifestyle mindset throughout your life. So that's pretty much the whole thing that I'm talking about today, and that is that's basically the gist of the episode. That's basically the gist of what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to kind of spread that message that you really do have to understand the difference between the content and between the actions, between just thinking about things and doing things. It's a big difference. It's a big difference, huge difference. It is life changing, the difference between thinking about things and actually doing things. Learning lessons just from consuming content, extrapolating life lessons from other people's lessons versus actually going through it yourself. It's a huge difference. It is unbelievable how big the difference is. And the reason I say it is because I've literally gone through it myself, where I consume the content, I'm in deep into the self-help, self-improvement space, and then I'm put in a position where I know the lessons, I've seen the things, I've seen what they talk about, and I know what's about to happen, but yet I can't actually, like, I'm in the moment and I can't actually follow through. I can't actually do the best thing in that situation. I make the mistake still, right? So, but then that's a good thing, because then I learn from it, and then I learn, okay, this is what I need to do better going forward. And it's like we as humans, it's a funny thing. It's like, this is maybe how I'll end the episode. Maybe, like, give me another 5-10 minutes max. But like, yes, at the end of the day, you consume all of this content, you're probably going to still make the same mistakes anyway. Because we as humans, we love to learn the hard way. You can watch all of these content creators, all these people that talk about how, oh, you shouldn't do this. In this situation, do this. In this situation, do this. If this ever happens, don't do this. That's a huge mistake. Don't do it. Instead, you should do this, or whatever the situation may be, right? It can be absolutely anything. In business, in sports, and whatever, right? But, like, we as humans, we're so stubborn that you could know the exact thing that you need to do, and you still do the wrong thing. You still make the mistake anyway. And you still feel those feelings of failure, the feelings of hatred, the feelings of anger at yourself, at other people, and situations are kind of bad. Because we as humans, we're kind of stubborn. We can't learn just from other people telling us things anyway. So I think that maybe is me speaking more to the fact and leaning more into the fact that, yes, you shouldn't consume a lot of this self-help content, because you need to learn the life lessons through your life anyway. But that doesn't mean you should distance your life from self-help and self-improvement. I think that is an important part of your life. Growing is the most important part of being a human. You grow so much as a kid, right? You grow so much throughout your adolescence. And then most of us, by 25 years old, you stop growing. But you don't have to stop growing. Even if you can look at it scientifically in the neuroplasticity of your brain or whatever, you don't have to stop growing. You can keep growing. That's absolutely fine. Like there's nothing in the rule book that says you shouldn't keep growing. And then another thing is just, like, it's the same thing when I read my Bible, right? When I'm growing in faith. That's like the whole teaching of God. It's like the whole thing of sin. It's like you read the thing, and in Romans chapter 7, Paul writes, the things that I want to do, I don't do. The things I don't want to do, I do. And, like, that really speaks to human nature, just not just from a biblical, spiritual perspective, but from a practical, from a self-improvement type of perspective. It really just speaks to human nature. So at the end of the day, you're probably going to have to learn the lessons through your experiences anyway. So learn the lessons through your experiences and find that growth from your action rather than consuming content. But again, be very careful not to let it bleed into everything that you do. So that is the point of the episode. That is what I got to say for today, and I hope that it is a good message for you, and I hope that you can continue to seek a life of constant growth as you go about your days, as you grow, as you get older, as kind of things change, that you learn from your mistakes, you learn from the failures, and you truly go and achieve those very same dreams and desires and goals and successes that you want to achieve in your life. So thank you for watching this episode of the 365 Podcast. That is all I got to say for today. If you enjoyed it, let me know by leaving a like, subscribing on YouTube, following on Spotify, showing support to the show in any way that you possibly can. Continue to glorify God every day throughout your life. And as always, I will see you tomorrow for the next episode.